Hi, I'm Lisa Hayden with Community Focus on Washington County, Channel 6, Central Kentucky TV. And today we're delighted to have with us a local young lady, Terry Thomas, who was a medley.
Correct.
From Washington County.
Very proud of that.
And I agree 100%. And Terry is what is your title?
My title is Client Services Manager, and I'm at the Kentucky Career Center in Lebanon full-time and 1 day in Bardstown Career Center. But I'm employed by the Lincoln Trail Area Development District.
Yeah. That gets complicated, doesn't it?
It gets very complicated because people do not understand all the, Lincoln Trail, where it's Lincoln Trail. And we cover Marion and Washington, Nelson, Meade, Breck, Hardin County, Breckenridge, area, LaRue. We carry all the 8 counties in Lincoln Trail region. So our funds go through those counties.
Right. So you are funded by the Lincoln Trail Area Development District, or is that district or region
Actually,
now?
the program's called the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. So it's federally funds that are given to the Lincoln Trail Ad.
Federal funds?
Yes, federally funds. And it's called the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. And it used to be called Workforce Investment Act. And it used to be called JTPA Days, Job Training Partnership Act back in the day. They change it when there's a new president usually. But anyway, it's called the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. It's fairly funded. And what we do with the money, most of the time we work with tuition, help students with training dollars is our main goal with youth or adult or dislocated workers or trade workers. You have to meet eligibility, but the eligibility is very easy. It's just you need to come in the Career Center and apply. And you ask for my name, Terry Thomas. And
so now, if you are unemployed, can you be employed and still come?
You still can be unemployed, and what we do is...
Or employed. You could either one?
You can be both, unemployed or employed,
okay,
as long as they're not making a self-sufficient wage. So if you're employed and you come to me making $10 an hour, then you can make maybe more by going to training. Like, for instance, like going to Kentucky Fame Industrial Maintenance Program, or going to an RN or LPN program, or physical therapy assistance, or engineering. If you can show that the need of training, we can send you to school.
I see.
So it's based on making a self-sufficient wage.
And the eligibility requirements are, you said, either employed or unemployed, so
right. We can look at both.
You could look at both, and also, of course, people with disabilities.
People with disabilities.
To get them in a job.
Yes.
Or training.
Yes. Any participant that's receiving SNAP or KTAP or housing, they will meet the program training needs. Also,
is that financial?
It is income based.
Okay.
So we do look at the income, but if you have a youth that comes in that's graduated from high school making $10 an hour, we look at his income, not his parents, and we look at their income. So if they're going to a 2-year degree, we can send them to school for $4,000 per year. So 2 years of $8,000, as long as they meet the income guidelines and other requirements.
Which, so you could send a high school graduate who, say, has not gotten a job yet.
Right.
You could send, or who is employed but not making very much.
Yes.
You could send them to a training program, and you could pay up to $4,000 per year.
Per year.
On toward their tuition and
tuition.
Books and
right now we're just tuition.
Okay.
Right now, we usually give $2,000 for fall and $2,000 for spring. Kind of spread it out, or they can go to a short-term training program like CDL training or Certified Nurse Aide or Lyman School, which is awesome. And so the short-term training usually does not receive financial aid assistance because it's short-term training, so they can come through my program, the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, and apply for short-term training dollars.
Which, for the short-term training dollars. So,
or 2-year degree, or the last 2 years of your bachelor's degree. We also pay for a bachelor's degree, but it's the last 2 years of bachelor's degree as long as you meet the income guidelines and meet other guidelines. You have to take an assessment with us. It's called the TABE, and you can take that adult ed, and you have to make a certain grade level. So there's certain other things that we need to meet eligibility.
So they would have to take a test, for example, to determine if they would be able to do that job.
Right, correct. It's a basic reading, math, and language. It's a basic education test you can take at the adult ed, and it shows what their grade levels are to make sure they are successful in college or short-term training. Is why we give that test.
Okay. So, like if they wanted to go to RN school, which registered nurse training, which was a 2-year program. I don't know if you can still 2-year program.
It's still 2, but they keep saying it's going to go 4-year. But right now it's a 2 or a 4-year.
Okay.
You
get your bachelor's degree with your 4-year,
yes.
but you can actually become a registered nurse with a 2-year, and I don't even know who offers that around here now.
Right now,
since we don't have St. Catherine,
we still have Campbellsville University. And then also you can get it at a community college, like Elizabethtown Community College or Bluegrass Community College. You can get your 2-year.
Okay, you're registered nurse. So now, to be able, of course, the school would have certain requirements to be able to get in to that program. I'm sure they'd have to pass some tests for the school.
Yes.
And then they also would have to pass some kind of test for you.
Correct.
And then meet the financial eligibility requirements. Right. And I suppose, are those like poverty line? Or
There's certain guidelines we use for poverty. 70% or 100% is what we look at income based on that. And we also look at priority as, okay, are they unemployed? Have they have a poor work history? Do they have a felony? Things like that also to meet to meet the guidelines of Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, which is called WIOA for short. It's a long word.
Yeah. Well, now let me ask you, speaking of felonies, now I think we passed a law in the legislature allowing some felonies to be expunged. So I suppose that people that do have a felony on their record, does that prevent them from getting into your program?
It does not. With the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, it does not. We look at that as a barrier, and that actually helps them to get into our program and hopefully get them training and employment as soon as possible and make a self-sufficient wage.
I see. So that's good.
Yes. We help felonies, we help misdemeanors, any kind of record we look at. Now, sometimes when you have a record, like if you've done something pretty heavy, you can't go into RN if it's abuse or anything like that. But we would say, look, you need to go in this career path because this is what it's going to lead you to, because you can't get into RN school with that record. So some colleges or career paths won't allow that, especially in abuse situation if you have a background in it. Right.
If you've been convicted of a misdemeanor of child abuse or a felony or domestic violence convictions.
It'd be hard to work in a nursing home or a hospital as an RN, so they wouldn't.
But you have the LPN program as well. And the nurse aid program.
There's certified nurse aid, registered nurse aides now. You can be an LPN or RN. Physical therapy assistants, occupational therapy assistants, dental hygiene, engineering.
Dental hygiene assistant?
Dental hygiene for, you can go into
dental hygienist.
Yeah, dental hygienist, yes.
Well, now,
a dental assistant is short-term training. We can help pay for that too.
So now, those are all in the schools, so at the community colleges or at the technical?
Some of them will be at the community college, and some of them will be, a short-term training could be at the Campbellsville Technology Center. They have one with the University at Campbellsville with a technology center that we send some of our students. It depends where they live. I go based on where they live, to see how far they have to travel. We would give them all the resources to all the colleges, and they make that decision. We don't make that decision for them. We just tell them this is what we pay for. It's all high demand career paths. So,
so they do have to be high demand career paths.
They do have to be a high demand career path.
Okay.
It could be advanced manufacturing, healthcare, logistics, things like that. They're all high demand, and we go detail each career path, what's short term, what's 2-year, and a 4-year, and we look at that. So we kind of we do career counseling for anyone that walks in the Kentucky Career Center first, and kind of if they do not know what they want to be, still usually an adult. Sometimes I don't know if I'm at the right place. We always think, what would they be like to go somewhere else?
Yeah.
So we do an assessment on them too. They kind of do like to see what they would score. Look at their career profile, kind of like a Myers-Briggs short version.
Okay, that's so that's good to know, because I know I have referred some people to you in regard to. I mean, because not everybody does know what they want to be.
They do not.
So you can determine through that testing if they are, good in this area, or they've got great social skills, or they're a detail-oriented person. I mean, is that kind of the strengths and weaknesses, or if they're good in math, or
if they're an introvert, extrovert, they like to be around people. If they like to kind of, they like to be around people, but they don't like to be around people all the time. Are they thinkers or fillers? Are they big? Or they think big? Or they things like that. And they kind of give you some jobs that's related to what they're testing, what they score on.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's all accurate, but it's pretty accurate. I can tell. Usually, I can tell when somebody comes in my office they're introvert, extrovert immediately.
Yeah.
And plus, like with me, I was an introvert at one time when I was younger. Now I'm an extrovert, so I've changed. So I grew up. You kind of change wherever your career path sends you to, because before I would not speak I was a twin. So my twin, as you know her, my twin.
Did Sherry do all the talking?
Extrovert.
Is that what you're telling me, Terry?
And she was, she got most talkative in high school, by the way.
Oh,
so I was a follower of her. And then when we both got married and went our separate ways, I grew into an extrovert. Yeah. So it's funny how you change. It's where you live, where your family and who's more overbearing. Not saying she was overbearing, but she had more. She was just a go-getter.
And too, I think it's all in what you get used to.
Exactly.
And so in your career, and I know I tell people this sometimes. Okay, you're not a public speaker, but you go take a public speaking class, or go give a little speech, and eventually you find that you get used to things, and you get that experience, and it's not as scary to consider doing in a lot of things. Once you get even in the job field, once you start out, like you say, in a career, it's scary.
It's very scary.
Yeah, but after a while, hey, you just get the hang of it.
And you kind of see some of the clients I have, they were very shy. They were scared to go to college, especially the older. Not saying they're youth, but they were older, probably in their 40s or 50s. They were going back to school. They were really scared. But their confidence grew, and then they got their just certification or their degree. So it's fun to see that in your clients, because they've taught me a lot, and I've become, it's really neat to see me grow, because what I've learned from my clients also.
Yeah. They've grown, and you've grown as a result.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love my job because you help. I got the best of both worlds. I have the money to send people to school, and I also have money for employers too, with my money, and we'll talk about that.
Okay.
But you can't go wrong, because I don't really have to sell it, because I have the money to give, and hopefully the clients will come. And the best thing is, our goal is to keep our clients here in Washington County, in our Lincoln Trail region, to keep them, to have a self-sufficient wage and live here long term and build a family here, instead of have to go to Louisville and Lexington.
Right.
That's our goal. Through the workforce. We have jobs. We have plenty. We just need to maybe upgrade their skill levels. Yeah,
that's true, because you see every time, in the newspaper every week, and on the driving up and down the road
Yes.
where people help is wanted, but of course it has to be a living wage, and that
Yes,
is a problem.
That's the problem.
Some
yes.
jobs just don't pay enough.
And that's where the Career Center can help and show this is what you'll make starting out. This is what you'll make maybe 5 years or so. So it's really neat to see them. They weren't making a self-sufficient wage when they get out. They got a great job and they're making a self-sufficient wage, and then they get married. Some of them get married, some of them have kids, or they might already have a family and they're making it better income for their families. It's awesome to see them grow.
And that's good for our community.
Yes.
Because that has a trickle down effect.
Yes.
So now then you're saying that you also have money for employers.
I help employers. We have on-the-job training funds. Our goal is to help the employer to hire new hires, and nothing against temp agencies, but we want them to hire more direct hire, and we give $5,000 per new hire for training dollars. We're helping the employer to train their employees if they're new hires.
Yeah.
And we have incumbent worker money too, where it's in-house training also. And that's with the Lincoln Trail Area Development District too. So we have 2 pots of funds. But on the job training, we give every per new hire. So if I work with a company in Washington County like Toyotomi, Inowac, or LB, or Bluegrass Dairy, we can give them $5,000 per new hire. And it adds up.
And they train
They
the
train
person.
their own people.
How long? I mean, is there a minimum time?
We usually say 6. We like to see 6 months to get them trained for 6 months, but sometimes training might take a year, but the money goes after so many months. So what we do is reimburse. They reimburse them half their wages each month, up to $5,000. So we want to make sure they get the full $5,000.
I see.
Yes. So we give.
So you reimburse the employer for a part of their wages each month,
up to $5,000.
Up to $5,000, and up to even or 6 months of training. You're saying,
6 months to training. It depends on the hourly wage. It'll be eaten up if it's a higher wage, or if it's a lower wage. The money will last a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Sometimes it might last 3 months of training. Just depends on how much they pay hourly. But they will get the full $5,000 as long as the training weeks are up to 6 months.
So okay, that's what So they do have to keep them employed for 6 months.
Well, here's the thing: the employer gets to fire them if they want to. I really don't like that, but they are told, this is the guidelines. They are your employer. If they do not show up for work, you can get rid of them. So, but it is a great program. We've worked with a lot of companies in Washington County with this funds. It saves the company a lot of training dollars.
Yeah.
The cost.
Well, that's great.
Yes, it's a great program.
And I suppose most of the time, or I would hope most of the time, those are successful placements.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's some turnover. And that's reality right now, especially in production. Huge turnover in production. Huge turnover in nurse aides right now. But we know this in the Lincoln Trail region, so that's why we're doing our best to get people into those fields to get them up to par, to make their meet their needs, employer needs.
Now, of course, Terry, everyone's always talking about those soft skills.
Yes, soft skills.
Being on time for work.
Yes.
Clocking in and on time, and showing up for work.
Correct.
And being there every day, and doing your job. Do you also train on that as well?
What we do is we have workshops in the Kentucky Career Center. We work with soft skills training. We work with resume writing, interviewing skills, or just filling out an application. Whatever their needs are, we help with those needs. Right now with soft skills training, we've been to Marion and Washington County schools this year. We did a soft skills kind of a short. It was kind of like in classroom setting. We did soft skills for Marion County and Washington County all seniors this year, which was awesome. and it was neat because some of the things that I didn't know why they were doing, I know why now. So it's kind of neat. They educated me. The youth did, like setting up their voicemail. Oh, I don't set up my voicemail. I text. I said, well, the employer may not text you. Most likely, they're going to call you or send you a letter. You know, things like that. It was kind of neat.
Now that is funny.
I
so
learned
you're
from them.
telling me that these young people, they're not setting up their voicemails
because
it's all text.
Because it's text.
They
do not understand that, or they apply online, you know, and they get an email. They do not understand that some employers will call. And every time I call their cell phone, they will not have their voicemail set up or it'll be voicemail full because I don't check it.
Yeah.
So it was neat to see that because I didn't know that. I thought all people would have their voicemail set up. No, not the youth, not all of them, just some.
Yeah.
We also did we did a program. It's been our third year now. Manufacturing Day. That's how we get involved with some of the programs we do because we were short of, we have a shortage in the workforce with manufacturing in Washington County and Marion, Nelson area, and whole Lincoln Trail region. So we do Manufacturing Day, and that's where we set up the soft skills before they entered Manufacturing Day, teach them something before they go into the Manufacturing Day setting, where all the employers will set up, and they'll explain what their company makes, what the pay rate is, and kind of guide them to see, it's not all production. You have an engineer in there, you have an HR, you have a business degree, you have accounting in there. Sometimes they have RN. So it's neat to educate the youth and adults too, because adults sometimes do not know that too. Soft skills is a big thing. Its attendance is huge right now. It's number one. Drug testing, you have to pass your drug test. Those are the things that are really hurting us right now is attendance. Showing up for work every day. Commitment is a key right now. Our younger generation and some of our older generation lately has not. They just don't commit like they used to. It's we were raised on a farm and we used to work on the farm, and that's hard work. Today's kids are like, I'm not going outside, it's too hot, or I'm not doing this. I think our parenting, we need to go back to being more, have rules, have consequences, because they do not know a consequence. Some of them do not understand the consequence because they think mom and daddy's going to take care of them.
Yeah. Well, you find that mom and daddy are taking care of things.
Yes, they are.
And so we will. I've noticed that from. Those are things that Robin is working on.
Yes.
At the superintendent's office with the schools, because parents are taking care of things instead of allowing their children to be responsible.
Exactly.
And so I do think that's important. I agree with this day and age. We've got to get back to some basics.
And we got to remember too, back in my day when I was growing up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, both parents sometimes didn't work. Now we hope most of the parents are working, but they're doing second, third shift. We didn't have a lot of second, third shift back in the earlier days. Now it's grown to second and third, so the parents are kind of, in different shifts, and they're not seeing their kids or they're working overtime. So that's another thing too. There's two sides to everything.
Yeah.
That the employers are working on really, a lot of hours too, where they don't get to be around their kids and give them the consequence because they're so tired coming home. Well, I just let her be on her phone all night. I'm just too tired of working. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We just need to be more, watch that more with consequences and understand the consequences of every action.
Well, I do think that's an important aspect because, employers, I'm talking to people that are working, 50 and 60 hours a week at factories.
Yes.
And in manufacturing, and that's not good for family life. And I'm seeing too that employers, aren't giving the benefits and the sick days or vacation days or so it makes it difficult for parents sometimes to even maintain a job.
Exactly.
If you've got a sick kid at home and you can't take them to daycare. Because daycare won't accept them when they're sick, then what are they going to do?
Exactly.
And so I do think, on both ends of the spectrum, that not only do our employees need to be responsible and committed to the workplace, but I think employers need to be responsible and committed to family life.
Yes.
So
I will say Washington
I'm
County.
going to put a plug in there.
Yes. I will say Washington, Marion, and Nelson, and really all through the Lincoln Trail region, we have discussed those issues with employers. They understand completely. The HRs have done everything possible to help, especially with a lot of them have anxiety. Their health is going down mentally and physically. So they have addressed those issues. So I have to say that the employers in the Lincoln Trail region are working on that. It's just we can't fill the positions. Until we fill the positions, they will cut. It's hard to cut those hours, but they're trying their best.
Well, that's good news.
Yes.
That's good news. And they might be hiring, but after so many months, they're giving them full-time benefits and things
Right.
of that nature.
Yes. Right now, most of the companies here are pretty much a very good wage here in Washington County.
Oh, that's good to
Yes,
know.
yes, it's
Yeah.
going up, especially in production, because they need to bring that up because they're kind of, going to, they're kind of competition now with the distilleries are paying a lot more, and they know that, so they are upping their wages. So that's one thing. The Lincoln Trail Business Services team will go to the companies and say, look, this is what's going on, and try to help with those issues. To let them know. You need to raise the wages on certain positions and how many hours they have and things like that. We've helped with several companies.
Well, great. Now, tell me, Terry, how somebody can get in touch with you if they'd like to come in and apply for your services.
You just go to the Kentucky Career Center. I'm located 4 days at 516 Workshop Lane, Lebanon, Kentucky. If you need me to meet you at the Career Center in Springfield, right now the Career Center in Springfield is only open on once a month. They'll be open
just once a month.
Once a month right now.
And that's in the 1816 courthouse or the
Yes,
annex there.
yes.
Yeah.
But if I need to meet a client, if they do not want to come to the Lebanon office, I will meet them in the Career Center in Springfield if they have transportation issues or any issues to meet with me. I'm also located in Bardstown Career Center on Tuesdays to meet with clients about the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act program. Also, my phone number is 270-692-6870. They can contact me there, and we can set up an appointment. I prefer appointments because I'm running everywhere lately. It's like my job is multitask lately with different things going on because we have all kinds of different new things coming up. But also, we're in the schools a lot. So the schools, when I went into Marion and Washington County school system, each of them have a card, and they have that information. Sometimes they might lose it, but we are in the schools constantly. We're helping with co-ops in the schools. We're doing soft skills training for the schools. We're doing Career Club in Washington County with Debbie McIntosh and Jesse Mattingly with the Family Resource Center. So we're in the school system constantly getting our youth ready for the workforce or training. So
that's great,
yes,
Terry.
yes.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
awesome.
sounds like you are very, very busy. But I'm just glad you could be here today because I know we've tried to get this together, and you are very
know.
busy. So, but I want to thank you for being here. And now, with this, I know there's some reorganization and transition.
Yes,
So in the future, I'm going to get you back on here
Yes, yes,
so
we'll
we can discuss
the
what's coming up.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me.
Well, thank you, Terry, for
Thank
being
you.
here. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.